Women respect the man who denies them. Schopenhauer confirmed it. Love is taught in stories. Respect is won on battlefields. You've heard it 1,000 times in movies, in songs, in advice from well-meaning friends. But you've been lied to. Women don't respect softness. They don't admire constant reassurance. They admire strength. Not the fake strength of a gym selfie or a charming smile. Real strength is measured in clarity, selectivity, and the silent rules you enforce without begging for approval. Think about the last time a man chased a woman he liked. Did it work, or did it signal neediness? Why does the guy who ignores texts, who doesn't bend at every whim, suddenly become magnetic? That's the battlefield I'm talking about. The arena of presence, restraint, and silent authority. He didn't plead. He commanded. He didn't explain. He embodied. That's the invisible language. Women notice, even if they can't articulate it. They don't chase love. They chase men who refuse to beg for it. And if he chases, you withdraw. That's not manipulation. That's boundaries. That's power. Picture this. At a crowded bar, one man leans in, eager, offering compliments, jokes, attention. She smiles politely, glances away, leaves him to his desperation. Across the room, another man sits quietly, observing, unbothered. He laughs once with a friend, then retreats into calm. She notices, her respect drifts toward him silently, almost against her will. That's the battlefield. The subtle victories no one talks about. Rhetorical question: are you running after her heart, or are you creating a presence she can't ignore? Another: does your attention elevate your value, or does it dilute it? Most men answer wrong, every single time. They confuse effort with influence, panic with power. He didn't chase texts, he curated moments. He didn't flaunt affection, he radiated standards. That's the paradox most men fail to grasp. Presence, selectivity, and clarity, these win the war. Not charm, not trying harder, not love as a transaction. Women respect rules enforced consistently. Women respect men who don't beg. If he floods attention, you ration it. If he shows need, you withhold approval. It's not cruel, it's corrective. It's the kind of mentorship life doesn't hand you, because no one tells you that chasing isn't love. It's weakness. That's why this truth feels uncomfortable. It's why it's ignored, laughed at, or dismissed. But you're not most men. You're ready to step onto the battlefield. Measure yourself by your standards, and stop pretending that softness earns respect. Now ask yourself, are you building a man she notices or a man she tolerates? Every word, every glance, every silence communicates your value. And the silent rules, the unspoken lines you never cross, those are the weapons most men never learn to wield. Because strength isn't shouted. Strength is quiet. Strength is stillness. Strength is invisible yet undeniable. By the end of this, you'll see the truth. Few admit. Women respect strength, not love.
He didn't chase, he enforced. He didn't negotiate, he embodied standards. And once you understand that, everything changes. Your energy, your decisions, your presence. The battlefield is waiting. Are you ready to claim it?
Women don't follow emotion. They follow standards. Think about that. Most men spend their lives chasing affection, thinking if they just try harder, say the right words, or perform grand gestures, they'll earn respect. But respect isn't granted for effort. It's earned through consistency, presence, and rules that are unshakable. Every word you speak, every glance you give, every pause in conversation communicates your value or your lack of it. He didn't beg for attention, he commanded it. He didn't plead for approval, he projected standards. That's the invisible code most men never learn. And that's why women notice some men immediately, and dismiss the rest as background noise. You see, she's scanning for signals: strength, clarity, self-possession. Are you showing her someone of value or someone she can use? Picture this. A man sits across from a woman in a crowded cafe. She talks, tests boundaries, smiles, pulls back. He doesn't react with desperation. He listens, nods, keeps his energy steady. By the time the conversation ends, she's curious, not because he tried to impress, but because he showed presence. That curiosity is respect forming silently. Rhetorical question: are you molding yourself around her moods, or are you standing by your own standards? Another: does your presence make her feel intrigued, or does your effort make her feel comfortable taking you for granted? Most men fail this test. Most men confuse affection with influence, kindness with weakness. If he floods attention, you ration it. If he yields to every whim, you stand firm. Those rules are simple, but they're brutal in effect. Women respect men who define boundaries without apology. They respect men who radiate consistency and calm authority. And once you understand that, every interaction changes. You stop chasing, you start signaling value. He didn't negotiate his presence, he embodied it. He didn't react to neediness, he held his ground. And that's the difference between men. Women admire, and men, they tolerate. Standards create attraction. Standards create influence. Standards separate the visible from the invisible, the respected from the forgotten. That's the truth, and it's yours to command. You've been told that being nice will win her over, that kindness is the key to respect, that if you give more, she'll care more. That's a lie. Chasing affection erodes presence. It turns strength into desperation. It signals need, not value. Do you want her attention or her respect? That's the line most men never see. And it's the line that separates boys from men. He didn't flood her with compliments. He held space. He didn't bend to every mood. He maintained standards. Across the room, a quiet man laughed with friends, unbothered by attention. She noticed him more than the man who tried to impress her. Micro story. He offered her everything he had. Time, attention, compliments. She smiled politely, then walked past. Across the room, the quiet man laughed with friends, untouched by need. She looked again. Her respect traveled silently toward him. That's strength in action. That's non-verbal authority. Rhetorical question: are you bending to her whims, or are you standing on your own ground? Another: are you trying to earn affection, or are you creating an aura she can't ignore? Men confuse nice with strong, but they're opposites. Nice is passive, pliable, malleable. Strength is active, deliberate, commanding. Nice hopes for attention. Strength commands it without a word. If he chases, you withdraw. That's the rule. Boundaries aren't punishment, they're leverage. Presence is silent, it doesn't need justification. She notices calm, unshakable confidence more than effort. She respects the man who enforces rules, not the one who pleads for approval. Its strength isn't about muscle or charm, it's about the energy you carry. It's how you respond, not how you perform. He didn't need her validation, he needed nothing. He didn't react to neediness, he embodied composure. That contrast, the quiet power against the desperate effort, is magnetic. It separates the men women respect from the men they tolerate. Every glance, every gesture, every silence communicates your value. Your strength over sweetness signals standards. Your stillness over flattery signals presence. And when you stop chasing, everything changes. The attention shifts, the respect arrives. The rules you enforce silently become your leverage. Strength isn't loud, it's visible in restraint, undeniable in confidence, and irresistible in its quiet authority. Most men confuse desire with love. They think lust is proof of connection, that if a woman wants them sexually, she must care emotionally. That's a trap. Lust is immediate, fleeting, and easy to fake. Respect is earned, cultivated, and long-lasting. She can desire you without valuing you. Do you see the difference? He didn't chase lust. He commanded respect. He didn't react to craving. He radiated calm authority. Think about her attraction. Why does it spike when you don't bend to her whims? Why does she lean in when you maintain distance? When you refuse to give her immediate validation, challenge isn't cruelty, it's magnetic. It triggers curiosity, tension, and intrigue. Emotional hunger is a signal, not an invitation. When you chase, you kill the tension. You replace curiosity with predictability. You replace attraction with routine. Micro story. She texts when she's bored, ignores when she's intrigued. He doesn't react, only shifts his energy elsewhere. Her curiosity becomes respect. Her intrigue becomes attraction. That's the subtle battlefield most men never notice. It's not about how often she reaches out. It's about the energy you allow her to chase. Rhetorical question: is she in love or is she interested? Another: are you responding to neediness or are you creating mystery? Most men answer wrong. They flood attention when they should withhold. They clarify when they should complicate. They confuse affection with influence, warmth with leverage. If he seeks validation, you stay still. That's not manipulation, it's calibration. It's the way high-value men communicate without words. Your presence, your restraint, your selectivity, these become invisible signals of worth. He didn't grovel, he enforced his energy. He didn't react to every impulse, he curated attention. That contrast between desperation and composure is the spark women feel instinctively. Respect, attraction, curiosity, they thrive on challenge, not effort. Desire can exist without love. Attraction can spike without commitment. But when you hold your energy, when you let her chase in a measured way, the game shifts. She notices, she respects me, she becomes intrigued, and that's the invisible rule. Most men never learn. Desire isn't love, but respect, fascination, and attraction. Those are earned through control, selectivity, and silent authority. Silence is your weapon. Most men fill every space with words, jokes, explanations, apologies, anything to be noticed. They don't realize that saying less builds more power than talking ever could. Every pause, every measured glance, every moment of stillness communicates value without effort. What does your silence communicate? Does it signal desperation, or does it radiate control? That choice defines the difference between a man she tolerates and a man she respects. He didn't explain himself. He observed. He didn't chase attention, he commanded it through absence. Micro story. At the party, he laughs once and steps back. Conversation dies. She notices his absence, curiosity sparks. No effort, no chase. Yet he commands the room. That moment is invisible to most men, but it's unforgettable to her. It's proof that dominance doesn't scream, it whispers. Selectivity amplifies attraction. Every interaction you allow, every glance you return, becomes leverage. She notices scarcity more than availability. She notices calm over frenzy. Timing is crucial. When to engage, when to withdraw, when to let curiosity build naturally. Too early, and intrigue dies. Too late, an opportunity vanishes. He didn't overcommit. He curated presence. He didn't flood attention. He rations it carefully. Rhetorical question: are you flooding her with validation? Or are you creating space for her interest to grow? Another: does your presence feel earned, or is it handed freely like every other man's? If he floods attention, you ration it. That's the rule. That's the invisible strategy that turns ordinary interactions into emotional leverage. Stillness isn't passivity. It's active control. It's the power to shape perception without a word. She notices the energy behind your restraint. She notices the confidence in your patience. Every pause, every non-response, every measured laugh adds weight to your presence. He didn't chase curiosity, he cultivated it silently. He didn't explain absence, he embodied scarcity. The advantage of silence is cumulative. It builds tension, it fuels intrigue. It forces her to invest energy in noticing you, thinking about you, questioning your limits. It creates a magnetic pull, stronger than any compliment or charm. And once you understand it, you stop filling empty space with noise. You let the room, the moment, and her curiosity do the work for you. Rhetorical question: are you filling the space with words she'll forget? Or are you crafting a presence she can't ignore? Every withdrawal, every pause, every silent moment is a message. You are not desperate. You are not available on demand. You are worth noticing. That's the silence advantage, the invisible currency that separates men women admire from men they dismiss. Most men fail because they bend to whims. They say yes when they should say no. They compromise standards for comfort, for approval, for a smile. She doesn't respect that. She respects rules. She respects lines drawn and enforced without hesitation. Do you have lines she can't cross? That's the question most men never ask themselves. And that's why they get overlooked, tolerated, or discarded. Standards are your silent authority. They're invisible, but they command attention like no charm or tactic ever will. He didn't argue when boundaries were tested. He maintained them. He didn't chase approval. He radiated certainty. Micro story. She joked, tested, pushed boundaries. He smiled once, adjusted to nothing. She leaned in, intrigued. Respect was earned, silently. That moment, fleeting to an outsider, cemented his authority. She noticed a man who could be depended upon to hold the line, without raising his voice, without losing composure. Rhetorical question: are you bending for comfort, or are you standing on principle? Another: does your presence communicate standards, or just availability? Men confuse strategy with manipulation, clever lines with value, but influence comes from identity, not tricks. When you define yourself with unshakable principles, every interaction becomes a test she can't fail, and every rule you enforce strengthens attraction. Boundaries amplify desire. They create tension. They demand attention, and enforcing them doesn't require aggression, yelling, or displays of power. Enforcement is subtle. Enforcement is calm. Enforcement is unflinching. He didn't punish disrespect. He acknowledged it with quiet correction. He didn't denunciate his standards. He embodied them. Women notice this instinctively. They feel it even if they can't explain it. If he tolerates disrespect, you enforce standards. That's the line. That's the signal that you are a man with values, not a man with a wish list. Respect flows from consistency, from predictability in principle, unpredictability in choice. She doesn't need to be told you're valuable. She perceives it, and once she perceives it, attraction isn't optional. Standards are leverage. They filter who gets in and who doesn't. They shift dynamics without a word. Every boundary you maintain communicates worth. Every rule you enforce silently teaches her, this is how you engage with me, or you don't engage at all. He didn't compromise his identity. He commanded presence. He didn't plead for respect. He created it by holding his ground. Invisible authority is the most magnetic force in any room. It's the calm in chaos, the steady hand in shifting moods, the unshakable line that defines who you are. She will test, joke, flirt, and push. You will smile, stand firm, and let your standards speak louder than words, because in the end, influence is never about clever tactics. It's about identity. She doesn't chase tricks, she respects rules. She doesn't admire effort, she admires unwavering principles. And once you enforce standards without compromise, respect follows naturally. Presence beats effort. Most men think showing up, saying the right words, or performing constant favors will earn attention. Wrong. Being important matters more than doing. Your energy communicates far more than your actions. She feels it before she hears it. She notices calm authority even before she notices your smile. Does she notice your presence or your panic? That's the question that separates men she admires from men she tolerates. He didn't rush the room. He entered with intention. He didn't plead for eyes on him. He radiated focus. Micro story. He walked in late, unbothered, scanning the room. She noticed his eyes first, then his calm smile. Nobody else mattered. She followed him not for a reason, just the aura. That's presence in its purest form. Magnetic, invisible, irresistible. Rhetorical question: are you flailing to impress, or are you carrying energy that naturally draws her attention? Another: are you chasing approval, or are you creating a space where curiosity and respect chase you? Men flood attention, over-explain, and overshare. High-value men do less and influence more. He didn't hustle for validation, he allowed his energy to speak. He didn't scramble to respond, he curated every interaction. The invisible cues of presence are subtle, but undeniable. Posture, eye contact, tone, timing. These signal confidence without words. A man who controls his energy can dominate a room silently. She notices it instinctively, even if she can't articulate why. Overinvestment, frantic effort, desperate gestures. They scream need. Presence doesn't scream, it whispers. Presence doesn't compete, it commands. Micro story. Across the bar, a man gestures frantically for her attention. She smiles politely, then turns back to her friends. Seconds later, he enters calmly, scans briefly, adjusts nothing. Her curiosity shifts instantly. No words, no chase, just a magnetic pull that effort could never manufacture. If he hustles for approval, you appear effortless. That's the rule. Every interaction, every glance, every word carries weight when your presence is authentic. She doesn't need explanations. She notices energy. She doesn't need validation. She perceives value. He didn't scramble to perform. He stood firm in his own aura. He didn't chase reactions. He created them silently. Presence accelerates respect because it's sustainable. Effort fades. Energy lingers. Effort can be faked. Presence cannot. She remembers him days later because of how he made the space feel. Every step, every pause, every glance becomes leverage when your presence is calibrated. It isn't about grand gestures, it's about dominance through stillness, confidence through restraint, and authority through being. Rhetorical question: are you a man she notices for effort, or a man she feels before words are spoken? Another: does your presence create curiosity, tension, and intrigue, or do you chase responses like every other desperate man? He didn't over-explain, he embodied calm. He didn't seek approval, he signaled value. That contrast between frantic effort and magnetic presence is what separates men-women respect from men-women forget. Learn this. Effort is visible. Presence is invisible. Effort can be rejected. Presence commands attention. Effort buys moments. Presence buys influence. Every room you enter, every interaction you hold, every pause you take is an opportunity. Opportunity to radiate strength without trying, to draw respect without pleading, to create attraction without effort. Presence beats effort, always, because it signals power, self-possession, and value beyond words. Urgency kills attraction. Most men think fast replies. Constant availability and immediate compliance demonstrate value. They don't. They signal need. Need is invisible, but it screams desperation. Desire thrives on tension, curiosity, and delayed gratification. Are you creating desire or feeding it? That's the question most men answer wrong every single time. He didn't panic at texts. He curated attention. He didn't chase reactions. He controlled energy. Micro story. She texts him 3 times in an hour. He replies hours later with a smile and a question. Curiosity spikes. Respect builds. He didn't chase, he curated attention. That moment, subtle and invisible, creates emotional leverage. She can feel even if she can't articulate it. Patience, not panic, dictates influence. Rhetorical question. Are you responding to impulses, or are you sculpting the emotional landscape? Another, are you filling space with yourself, or are you creating scarcity that makes her invest mentally? Women respond to men who balance warmth with distance. Too much warmth and you're predictable, ordinary. Too much distance and you're irrelevant. The sweet spot is tension, the magnetic pull between availability and restraint. He didn't flood energy, he measured it. He didn't over-explain. He implied it. Subtle psychological triggers matter more than grand gestures. Timing, tone, selective engagement, all of these amplify respect and attraction when you withhold just enough. She invests more of herself in the interaction than you ever could with words or gifts. If he reacts instantly, you delay. That's the rule. Not cruelty, not manipulation, control. Every delayed response signals confidence, self-possession, and independence. Emotional leverage comes from maintaining calm while letting desire build naturally. He didn't chase approval. He commanded interest. He didn't yield to urgency. He directed it. Balancing warmth and distance creates a rhythm she can't ignore. She senses energy shifts, pauses, and restraint. Each deliberate silence, each measured message, each moment of presence, without over-explaining, constructs tension. That tension is attraction. That tension is respect. That tension is an influence. Rhetorical question. Are you a man she craves because of your energy, or a man she tolerates because of your effort? Another, are you creating a dynamic that draws her in, or are you reacting to whatever she offers in the moment? Most men mistake constant accessibility for value. High-value men understand emotional leverage, patience, control, tension, and subtle cues that signal worth without begging for it. Desire peaks when she can't have you on demand. Respect builds when she notices your self-possession. Influence solidifies when you curate attention instead of over-investing. He didn't surrender to every impulse, he controlled the rhythm. He didn't chase emotions, he orchestrated them. And that invisible command over the emotional dynamic is the difference between a man women respect and a man they simply notice, briefly and then forget. Will she trust you or just like you momentarily? That's the question most men never ask themselves. Flashy tactics, charm, or clever lines might get her attention, maybe even a laugh or a smile. but attention fades. Respect requires consistency, predictability in principle, unpredictability in choice. That's what builds authority. That's what separates men. She respects. From men she forgets. He didn't bend when tested. He held his line. He didn't overreact to moods. He maintained energy. Micro story. Every time she tested him, he held the line. Flirt, tease, withdraw, unchanged. Weeks later, she approached him first. Consistency had built silent authority. That moment wasn't about luck or charm. It was about patience, stability, and unwavering standards. Rhetorical question: are you shifting with every whim, or are you anchored in principle? Another: does she see a man she can rely on, or just someone who entertains her momentarily? Most men waver. Most men adjust to moods, bend to whims, and compromise boundaries for comfort. High-value men anchor. They don't sway with the wind of approval or the tide of emotion. If he wavers, you anchor. That's the rule. It's not rigidity for its own sake. It's reliability that signals value. Women notice patterns, energy, and consistency more than gestures. He didn't chase fleeting attention. He curated influence. He didn't react to every test. He enforced presence. Every consistent choice communicates worth. Every unwavering boundary builds authority. Long-term attraction isn't about peaks and moments. It's about a steady line of integrity, standards, and composure. He didn't need validation to maintain principles. He needed nothing. He didn't fluctuate for approval. He projected stability. That constancy draws her in, not because it's exciting, but because it's trustworthy. Consistency becomes the silent framework that shapes her perception. Rhetorical question: are you building temporary interest or lasting respect? Are your actions an echo of whimsy or a testament to unshakable standards? Women test, probe, and tease to measure consistency. How you respond or don't respond creates tension, curiosity, and ultimately respect. Predictable in values, unpredictable in availability, consistent in standards. This is the formula. She notices when you hold line, when you resist manipulation, when you maintain authority without aggression. That is long-term attraction. That is the influence. That is power. And every man who wavers trades that power for temporary attention, while the anchored man commands the space silently, irresistibly, and permanently. Scarcity creates intrigue. Most men are always available, always responding, always giving. That availability signals convenience, not value. She notices who has boundaries, who has limits, who doesn't bend to every whim. Are you available or valued? That question defines influence, attraction, and respect. He didn't open the door for everyone. He curated who stepped in. He didn't hand attention freely. He rationed it deliberately. Micro story. Only a few get his time. She is curious why. He smiles, says nothing. Respect forms before words. Desire follows. That silence, that selectivity becomes magnetic. It signals standards without saying a word. It shifts perception instantly. She wonders why he isn't like every other man, and that curiosity fuels attraction faster than effort ever could. Rhetorical question: are you bending to whoever calls, or are you shaping perception with measured presence? Another: do you allow access freely, or do you let scarcity do the talking? High-value men understand that influence comes not from chasing attention, but from controlling who earns it. Every selective choice reinforces authority. Every denied impulse builds intrigue. If he is always available, you disappear strategically. That's the rule. Not to punish, not to manipulate, but to preserve leverage. He didn't apologize for limited access. He curated interest. He didn't chase approval. He created it by making it earned. Women notice scarcity instinctively. They respond to it instinctively. Desire follows respect. Respect follows standards. Subtle signals of high standards include who you engage, how you engage, and what you tolerate. He didn't answer every text. He answered with intention. He didn't overcommit. He allocated energy where it mattered. That selectivity communicates power louder than words, charm or effort ever could. Rhetorical question: are you giving value freely, or are you letting your presence signal it naturally? Every man who is always available dilutes his impact. Every man who curates access amplifies it. Presence, selectivity, scarcity, they become invisible livers that shape attraction, influence, and respect. And that's the power of being the man who chooses who matters, instead of reacting to who wants him. Are you still the man she respects, or just the man she noticed once? That distinction defines lasting influence. Most men burn bright for a moment, then fade into memory. Strength that sustains itself comes from identity, not effort. Presence, standards, and selectivity create a cycle that doesn't need reinforcement. It perpetuates naturally. He didn't chase recognition, he embodied consistency. He didn't compromise principles, he maintained them silently. Micro story. Years later, she mentions him in passing. The aura remains, respect untouched by time. He never chased, never compromised. Strength lasted. That's the difference between fleeting attraction and enduring authority. Rhetorical question: are you relying on effort to be noticed, or have you built a presence that commands it indefinitely? Another: does she remember the man you are, or just the gestures you made? The self-sustaining cycle of rules, calm energy, and selectivity ensures respect isn't conditional. It isn't earned daily, it is inherent to your identity. If he compromises, you reclaim quietly. That's the rule. Not confrontation, not apology, not explanation, just realignment with your own standards. He didn't beg for recognition, he allowed respect to recognize him. He didn't fluctuate with moods, he maintained constancy. Strength maintains itself because it's internalized. Effort fades, tactics fade, words fade, identity persists. Standards, presence, and selectivity reinforce each other, creating a magnetic field of authority that time cannot erode. That's why some men are remembered, and others are forgotten. Rhetorical question: are you building a legacy of respect, or are you chasing temporary approval? Strength that maintains itself doesn't require validation, it projects it. The men who endure in memory, influence, and admiration are those who never compromise, never chase, and never bend from the rules that define them. He didn't beg, he waited. Patience was his weapon. She noticed, not because he chased, but because he refused to bend. He didn't apologize for presence, he claimed it. Every room he entered, every pause he held, every glance carried authority. She didn't respect his effort, she respected his rules. Effort fades, standards last. He didn't chase, he curated attention. Micro story. At the gallery, she looked at every man trying to impress. He lingered near the corner, calm, observing. She circled back, drawn by his presence alone. No words, no flattery, just magnetic selectivity. He didn't explain, he embodied. She didn't fall for charm, she fell for consistency. He didn't scramble to justify, he demonstrated silently. Rhetorical question: are you bending to be liked, or are you standing in your own authority? Another: are you chasing validation, or are you letting presence create it? He didn't flail for attention, he allowed curiosity to follow naturally. He didn't react to moods, he anchored stability. She didn't test patience, She tested boundaries. Every boundary he maintained became invisible leverage. Every calm refusal built intrigue. If he pleads for recognition, you withhold. That's the rule. Not arrogance, not games. Control. He didn't inflate gestures, he radiated self-possession. He didn't rely on charm, he relied on constancy. She noticed patterns, not performance. She felt tension, not desperation. She respected principles, not panic. He didn't overcommit, he curated space. He didn't over-explain, he implied value. He didn't react instantly, he mastered timing. Micro-story. In a crowded room, she tried to draw him in. He smiled briefly, adjusted nothing, and returned to his circle. Her curiosity spiked, respect quietly solidified. That moment of controlled presence, more powerful than any compliment. He didn't negotiate attention, he dictated presence. He didn't compete for notice, he commanded it. She didn't need persuasion, she observed authority. He didn't apologize for being himself, he modeled standards. She didn't yield to charm, she yielded to consistency. He didn't chase outcomes, he orchestrated influence. She didn't reward effort, she rewarded identity. Every line, every contrast, every pause reinforces one truth. Influence comes from self-possession, not panic. He didn't ask, he embodied. She didn't respond to words, she responded to presence. He didn't chase approval, he commanded it. She didn't follow effort, she followed integrity. That's the rhythm, that's the power, that's the invisible architecture of respect. Rhetorical question: are you bending to what she wants? Or are you structuring what she notices? Every micro-choice communicates value. Every silent rule signals authority. He didn't chase, plead, or explain. He stood, she watched. She was respected, and that is how men shape influence, without desperation, without compromise, and without apology. Respect her choices. Boundaries exist for a reason. He didn't push, he observed. He didn't coerce, he guided subtly. Influence behaviors, not identities. Micro-story. At the party, she declined an invitation. He smiled, nodded, and maintained distance. Hours later, she approached him on her own. Respect was intact. Control was never forced. Rhetorical question: are you shaping influence, or are you crossing lines for attention? Another: do you respect limits, or do you mistake persistence for power? Consent is non-negotiable. Manipulation is off-limits. He didn't demand compliance, he modeled standards. He didn't feel guilt or pressure. He was allowed to choose to do the work. If he ignores boundaries, you enforce them quietly. That's the rule. Influence indri clarity, presence, and patience, not through forcing outcomes. She respects the man who honors rules, not the one who breaks them for gain. Every interaction communicates ethics, integrity, and strength. Maintain it, or all authority collapses. Respect is your silent currency. Boundaries protect both parties, and power exercised without consent is hollow. He didn't overstep, he maintained dignity. She didn't yield because of pressure, she engaged because of respect. That balance, freedom within structure, is the ultimate leverage. A man can command while staying ethical.